It's time to get started. I want to welcome everyone for coming out to the school board meeting of Murray County Education. The first item of business, I'm going to ask the chairman pro tem, Mr. Lassiter, to take roll.
Miss Parker, Mr. Morrison, Miss Martin, Mr. Pennings,
Here.
Mr. Moore,
Here.
Mr. Lassiter's here, Mr. Bates,
Here.
Mr. Beaver,
Here.
Miss Powers,
Here.
Mr. Lindsay, sorry, Mr. Dudley. I was on a roll.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lassiter. It looks like we do have a quorum. The next item of business, we will be having the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have Randolph Howell Elementary School here to help us with that. After the Pledge of Allegiance, we will remain standing to take a moment of silence. And during that moment of silence, I know everyone's heart is still breaking for the family of Haven Edmondson. And so I would ask everyone to remember that family during our moment of silence, as well as the entire Culleoka community, because it affects everybody there. So with that, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll turn this over to Mr. Ford.
Chairman Bates, Dr. Marzak, school board members, at Randolph Howell, we have an expectation of excellence. So get ready. You're going to see a most excellent performance tonight. I've got the fourth grade chorus, part of the fourth grade chorus with us after the pledge to lead you through the national anthem and then a Christmas carol to kind of get the spirit going. So this is Austin Gregory, Elijah Jackson, and Jackson Metters. They're going to lead us through the pledge. Boys. Mr. Risa Perko, one of my second grade teachers, will be leading the students tonight. Ms. Wilson, my teacher, music teacher, cannot be.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ford, and thank you to Randolph Howe for coming and doing the pledge and for giving us the music entertainment tonight. We appreciate that. All right, we'll now turn to some of our business. First item, though, we need to adopt an agenda. Everyone received a proposed agenda before tonight. We did have one addition. Mr. Moore has asked that we add under use of facilities, we're going to add a number 3. This is for Marvin Wright PTA to use the facility, their facility on December the 11th. Is that correct, Mr. Moore? All right, does anyone else have any other additions or changes to the agenda? Mr. Lindsay.
Chairman, could we add 9B under new business, just discussion of new positions?
All right, I've made that addition. Does anyone else have any other changes or additions? Mr. Lassiter.
Mr. Chairman, I was wondering if we could move number 10C, low bid purchases, in front of the budget amendments.
I have no problem with that. So what we'll do under other business, Roman numeral 10, we'll just make finance. That'll be actually section C now. And low bids, purchases over $10,000 will be section B. And I agree with Mr. Lasser. It probably makes more sense to talk about some of those bids first before we get to budget amendments. Anyone else? All right, if there are no other changes, we're now ready to vote to approve the agenda as revised.
Motion to approve.
Please vote now.
All right, that action is adopted by the board. The revised agenda is adopted. All right, so next item on the agenda will be recognitions and announcements. And I think, Dr. Marzak, you're filling in with for Ms. Hargrove.
Members of the board, after being on the job just a short 4 months, it gives me great pleasure to recommend the following staff to you for tenure with Murray County Public Schools. Dr. Hargrove would have loved to have been here tonight, but she is on assignment at Lipscomb University, hopefully meeting some future tenure candidates for Murray County Public Schools. So when I call your name, if you would please come on up. Chairman Bates will be handing you your pin and your certificate. We'll shake hands. And then Miss Doddridge needs to see you outside the door for a group picture. So the first person I'd like to call up is Miss Missy Brown from Spring Hill High School. She's at basketball practice, so we will deliver those at a later time. Thank you, Dr. Potts. Appreciate it. Audrey Bryant from Mount Pleasant Middle School.
Basketball game.
Basketball game. Moving on down the list. Melissa Fitzpatrick, Wright Elementary School. Is Melissa in the house? Moving on down the list. Sherry Gray from Spring Hill Middle School. We did let these people know that they were supposed to be here tonight. Okay, good. Okay. Andrea Hobbs from Spring Hill Elementary School. Yes, Andrea's here. Thank you. You're welcome, Andrea. Congratulations. David Hubner from Central High School. Dave, come on down. Next, Cheryl Jelanek from Mount Pleasant Middle School. Not here? Okay, did I say that right? Jelanek? Okay, good, it's on record. Excellent. Jordan Lauer from Central High School. Is Jordan here? Not here. All righty. Dovey McPherson from Woodard Elementary School. Yes. Congratulations. Lovey-dovey. Lovey-dovey. I like that. Thank you, ma'am. Pleasure. Kimberly Moore from Spring Hill Elementary School. Megan Nelson, Spring Hill Middle School. Okay, you guys moved. You got me nervous there. Okay, good. Stephen Nixon from Culleoka Unit School. Stephen Nixon? How about Sully Remy from Culleoka? How about Melissa Richard from Spring Hill Elementary School? Hey, there we go. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Neelan Roberts from Mount Pleasant Middle School. Neelan Roberts? Basketball. Thank you, sir. Matthew Sakowitz, Spring Hill Middle School. Basketball. Anybody? No? And Myra Sharp from Culleoka. Is Myra here? All righty. Well, the board, those are your tenure recommendations for this evening. Thank you very much.
All right, congratulations to everyone. All right, next item of business, we're down to Maury County Education Association, and we'll call on Mr. Huebner. Do you have anything, or?
Nope, he's going to get a
Oh,
picture.
get a picture, okay. Well, if he comes back, if he wants to speak with us, we'll put him back on the agenda then. All right, next item is public delegations. If I could ask someone to look at our sign-up sheet to see if anyone signed up. Okay, thank you. All right, looks like we do not have anything listed under staff reporting. Next item is our consent agenda, and everyone will recall that we did add one item to the consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull anything off the consent agenda to discuss separately? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Mr. Penning, second by Mr. Moore. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. And that motion passes 9-0. All right, next item, we have the committee reports. First report, we have zoning and facilities, and Mr. Moore, it looks like your committee has recommended one item to approve bid number 16037. I guess that's the only recommendation of your committee to vote on?
It is, yes.
Okay. All right, does anyone want to, we've already discussed this item in committee. Does anyone want to have any additional discussion on the committee's recommendation?
Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Pennings.
My visit to Withorn yesterday, they asked if we could put a lock on the front door, right at the front door, the main door, with a security camera showing it, so that when somebody comes up to the door, they can see who's there and they have to buzz them in. Right now, there is one door at Withorn. If you get into the main reception area, the main vestibule, there's one door on the right that if something happens, somebody has to get to put the deadbolt lock through it. So all of the secretaries and the principal and Ms. Lester said they would feel safer if they had a lock on the outside door and a security camera. I just thought if we could add that now or have it for further discussion later on.
Thank you, Mr. Pennings. Well, we have Mr. Breeden, I guess, present. I guess, are you making a note of all this to take a look at this?
Yes, sir, we will. That is not typically something that we've gone back and retrofitted our schools for. We do have that situation on a couple of our newer schools where we have the capability of doing that. As you'll remember, over the last 2 or 3, well, I don't know when we began because we began a little before we added security vestibules at all our schools where that you have to enter into the school office before you can get into the rest of the school. But at that time, we did not add security outside the school office where you have to actually come up to a speaker. Typically what you would do, and I think what Mr. Pennings is alluding to, is you would have a station there where you would actually call into the office. They would have a screen there where they could see who's outside the building. They would buzz you to come into the school building to come into the office. But we do not have that now. Again, that is designed on the new high school. We have we have the capabilities of that at Spring Hill Middle, but we haven't added any of the other schools. I don't know if you all are suggesting we would just add it at Whitthorne, or we would look at adding that at all schools.
Well, let me ask Mr. Pennings, I guess, are you wanting, Mr. Breeden's office to study the issue and maybe come back to us with recommendations for one school, or what would you suggest?
Well, right now, I mean, it'd probably be a good idea for all the schools, but right now, Whitthorne is the only one I'm really familiar with. And when you walk in there, the main vestibule, the door's right in front of you on the right, you have to punch, be buzzed through. But there's another door on the left that just has a keypad, and you have students coming in and out of that door all the time. So that's not a secure door right there even. So by having a secure door at the main entrance before you get into school would be more of a security, I would think.
Mr. Pennings, I think you make a good point. When we toured Santa Fe, that was something that Commissioner Stevenson actually noticed as well, that I guess there's a security issue where there are two doors that enter into the reception area. I'm not talking about from the outside going in. I'm talking about from the interior. One is, I think you have to buzz to go through, but the other one, my understanding is it's just free flow. And so from a security standpoint, that was a concern that she raised. So I think you're making some good points. I guess right now, from a procedural standpoint, we just have the one recommendation from the committee. Why don't we go ahead and vote on that, and then let's come back, and are you wanting to make a motion for central office to do something, or are you just asking here tonight?
I'll go with your recommendation, but I would like make a motion to have the office staff look into it and give us a recommendation.
Okay. Well, let's do one thing at a time. Let's go with the committee's recommendation on bid number 16037. Let's go ahead and vote on that first, and then let's come back and let's put something in the form of a motion to take that up. So first item of business, we have the committee's recommendation to approve bid number 16037. Is there any other discussion on the committee's recommendation? Okay, seeing none, we're ready to vote on the committee's recommendation. All right, the committee's recommendation is approved and adopted by the board by a vote of 10-0. All right, so Mr. Pennings, we're back to you. Since you've, I guess, brought this forward, I'll turn this over to you to see if you want to put this in form of a motion.
I have a question for Mr. Breeden first. On our study that we're having done on all the schools, will they be addressing security issues also?
Security issues are on the list. I will confirm that there will be that particular issue is being addressed. I can't answer it is, but I know the security issues are on the list.
And I would like to make a motion that we have Mr. Breeden or whoever study the security entrances at all the schools, particularly Whitthorne and, did you say Santa Fe? And check that out, because, I mean, once somebody gets inside, it's too late to look back and say we should have or could have. So I'd like to make a motion to have the office staff study the security issues at the entrances to our schools.
And Mr. Pennings, if I could broaden that motion with your permission, I would like to look at it from a broader standpoint. I think the design is what was the concern that was brought to our attention, that I guess if you've got security, I guess, to allow people in, but then once they're past that point, then they could go anywhere in the building. That was kind of the security concern, that there's one access that they do have to be buzzed through, but there was another door where if you had somebody that they were wanting to go somewhere, they're probably going to go somewhere. And so that was one of the concerns. So I would request that we broaden that, just to look at that from the entire school system standpoint to see if that's a common pattern at all of the front offices. And then I would ask that this be put back on the next facility committee agenda, and let's have some additional discussion. I don't think we're going to be taking any formal action, but we just want to look into it and talk about it some more. Is that okay, Mr. Pennings?
Yes, I can go along with that. One thing that we have to keep in mind, we're here to protect everybody, our students, but we also have to remember that the office staff are part of Dr. Marzak's employees. And once you get in, it's usually those poor ladies that they're at the mercy of anybody that comes in.
If we could, recommendation to the board, training from the superintendent, if we could keep concerns to a minimum, we're now putting security concerns out to the general public. So if we could keep security concerns to a minimum, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Dudley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would like to broaden this deal. I don't want to really disclose the items that I was saw yesterday because, as Dr. Marzak said, we're telling the public what some of our safety issues are. But I would like for us to be able to discuss this. I can let Mr. Breeden know my concern, but it's more than just the front door. I think we have issues that are similar in nature throughout all of our buildings.
Any other discussion? All right, so Mr. Pennings, you've made a motion, and we've kind of revised it on the fly, that central office is going to look into some security concerns, and we're going to put this on the next facilities committee agenda for additional discussion. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Dudley. Any other discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, we're ready to vote. All right, that motion passes 9-0. We're now on to the policy committee. Chair Parker, it looks like your committee has two recommendations. First recommendation is to approve videotaping of all committees of the board, including committee meetings. And then also you're recommending posting a proposed change where we would delete policy 1.7001. Is that correct? All right. Is there any discussion, or let me first ask, does anybody, well, let me just open the floor for discussion. Is there any discussion with the committee's recommendations? All right, does anybody want to vote on those recommendations separately? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on those two recommendations from the policy committee. If we can let the record reflect, sorry, I was talking and not voting. So if you could reflect that I'm voting yes on that, so the vote is that committee's two recommendations are approved with a vote of 10-0. All right, let me first go back. I'm sorry, Mr. Moore, I skipped you. I wanted to open it up. Do you have any other reports to make from your committee?
I do not. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Lassiter.
I was just curious on the vote that we took for facilities. I saw a vote of 9-0, and I just wondered, because I think we have 10 people, and I was just curious if we missed somebody. I was just going to straighten my record.
All right, so we don't delay things, let me get with our guys in a minute. We're going to take a recess and we see what the what our vote is and see what the error is on that. Okay. All right, let me, it's probably me. Got somebody pointing the finger at me over here. So now we're back to policy. Chair Parker, did you have any other reports to make from your committee?
At our last meeting, we did talk about the dress code. I know that high school has already sent their recommendations to, based on our discussion, to Ms. Hargrove, and so she's working on that revision. I would just encourage board members, if you have specifics, because I know we started to try to get into cargo pants and specific types of clothing, and to speed that process up, if you have something specific that you want to make sure is in the dress code, is allowed or not allowed or whatnot, please send that to Ms. Hargrove before our next policy meeting. If you could, try to do it before Christmas, if that would be possible. Give her some time to work on it before the next policy meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Parker, and I think that's a very, very good point. So if we can't get all those changes in, or suggested changes in, well in advance, and then that also gives the public an opportunity, if we've got that on the agenda, we can have input if anybody wants to give us input prior to that meeting. Thank you. All right, next item, community relations. Chair Powers, it looks like we don't have any recommendations to vote on. Do you have anything else to report?
I just want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the Christmas float. It turned out to be a huge success and a lot of fun. We had a couple heavy lifters, so thank you to Mr. Lassiter and Mr. Moore. Dr. Marzak participated a lot, and it was a big time, and thank you very much, Mr. Perryman. Your crew in transportation and maintenance did awesome. So it was really fun to go down the road and watch the kids' face light up when they saw the school bus decorated. I think that was a nice flair. So thank you all, and looking forward to 2016. We'll have a new logo, and Culleoka has some fun things that we'll be disclosing in 2016 too.
Thank you, Chair Powers, and I just want to take my hats off to you as well for heading that up. I think it was a great idea, and I think it's been great for the community, and it's a great way to get our vision out to the community, that we're wanting everybody to know that, hey, there's great things that are happening in Maury County. So appreciate that. All right, next item of business, we're on new business, naming the Hampshire Unit School Gymnasium floor, and I will call on Miss Sonia Cathy. How are you, Miss Cathy?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Just fine.
We sent a letter asking that the board consider our recommendation of naming the gymnasium floor at Hampshire after Mr. Jackie Lawson. He was a teacher, coach, athletic director, coach basketball, baseball. He started cross country and golf at Hampshire. And at one time, he was even the principal at Hampshire. So we would like for y'all to consider that.
All right. You all in advance had received a letter from Ms. Cathy with a recommendation to name the gymnasium floor in honor of Mr. Jackie Lawson. And I'll open the floor for a motion if someone wants to approve that. Motion by Mr. Lindsay, second by Ms. Powers. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. And Ms. Cathy, you can report back that motion passed by a vote of 10-0. Thank you. All right. At this time, I'm going to ask that we take about a 5-minute recess. I have another matter that I need to attend to, and what I'm going to do is turn the chair over to our Chairman Pro Tem, Mr. Lassiter, after we return, if that's okay. So we'll stand in recess for 5 minutes. Thank you.
All right, if we can make our way back to the seats, please.
It's coming. It's coming. Who's your vice chair?
Jim.
Jim Morrison? Or Jim Pennant? He's not here, so he takes over. Just yell at me.
Thank you for keeping it on track. Let's go.
I'll let him know.
All right, let's go ahead and get started again. And we are on B, new positions.
I'm going to quickly hand this over to Dr. Marzak. This just came about after a couple of conversations that Dr. Marzak and I had, and I'll let him take it from here.
So a couple months ago, when Mr. Breeden was asking for the use of fund balance monies in order to take care of some facilities, Chairman Bates made it a point to say, I kind of want to hold off a little bit to find out if Dr. Marzak has discovered anything instructionally that he says that we need to take a look at and work on. Two of the things that I've discovered in the short time that I'm here, two big holes that we have. Number one is right now our school counselors have nobody that works with them and advocates for them. We have no counseling curriculum. We have no alignment amongst our school counselors, whether it be an elementary guidance counselor or a high school counselor that's working to get students ready for college or indoor careers. And we have nobody at this point that's really helping them. And as I did my 22 and 22 tours and walked around, many of the counselors that I was able to meet were advocating to me, we need somebody to help us. So that's one of the positions that I see that I'd like to talk to you guys tonight about adding is either a manager or a supervisor of what I'm calling counseling and mental health. Somebody that can not only work with getting our kids ready for college and career, but somebody that can also address the growing mental health concerns I have for the students in our district. As far as moving through a curriculum, being able to meet with kids throughout the course of the day, maybe doing groups, working through students that have divorce or grief or anger management issues. So we need somebody to advocate for them in that position. The other position that I see we have a large hole in is with district-wide athletics. Right now we have nobody that's really organizing our athletic directors of the individual schools and moving forward with a unified athletics plan for Murray County Public Schools. I'd like to see jamborees take place in basketball, football, and baseball, where schools compete against one another for a Murray County trophy. I'd like to see more alignment among scheduling. I'd like to see more alignment among athletics. I'd like to see more unified Murray County public schools with athletics, period. So I've seen those two positions. I've already had a talk with Dr. Berkins. We have the money in our current budget to fund these two positions. And so I'd like to advocate to the board to allow me, to give me the discretion to begin the search for these two positions and bring them into our district.
Okay. If we're going to do that tonight, would somebody like to put that in the form of a motion, please?
I'll make that. I move that we allow Dr. Marzak to add these two positions, and he can put titles on them. I won't try to title them, but so that'll be my motion.
Okay, Ms. Powers, second that. I would like to ask that if we could split that and make that one motion for each position, please. That fine with?
Yeah, if you want me to redo the motion, I'll make the first motion to approve Dr. Marzak adding a manager of what did you call it?
It's either a manager or a supervisor of counseling and mental health.
What he said.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for creating a position for counselor of mental health and guidance.
Sure.
Close enough. All right, are we ready to vote? Discussion? No. Sorry, discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just some of our questions. Housing, where's the offices for these? I'll cover both positions because I know the second one's coming up. Do we have office space at our central building, or where are we going to house these people?
We'll house them somewhere inside the district. We'll find a place.
Okay. And so you said you found funding in our, left over in our budget, and then these positions will be added in our budget process for continuation?
Yes,
for the
sir.
future years?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I do want to say that I support it. Even back when I was in school, there was no real supervision of the guidance counselors. And then I think a lot of students failed to even entertain college because they had no counselor that even encouraged them to go to college. So we need some supervision system-wide, and so I agree with it. Thank you.
Mr. Beaver?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the, I guess, manager or supervisor, as far as the, like the crisis management that we went through this week, you know, you and I talked about it on Tuesday. Would this person be responsible for overseeing or generating the document like we talked about, where that each principal would have this document for using as a guideline to handle crises like we just witnessed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thanks, sir.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, thank you. Dr. Marzak, I guess a couple of questions, probably a lot of questions. How do you see this, this director or supervisor, is this something, would they be in charge of the counselors across the thing, or is this still going to fall under the principal at the school themselves? As far as if there's deficiencies there, is that something they're going to seek out, or are they just going to coordinate?
So I see this more as a support role than a supervisory role, but the manager or supervisor of counseling and mental health would work in collaboration with the principals to determine how is the counselor or the guidance counselor or the school counselor doing at their school. I see this less as somebody that's in charge of, but somebody that's more in support of. So if you go back to the board retreat and we talked about our changes 1.0, that's my view of central office positions being more of a support role than a supervisory role. This is not a position that would be somebody that sits in a cubicle all day long. I would expect to see them out and about in the district working with counselors. Maybe they co-teach if they have a certain point in time that they can do, or they're also working on trainings for some of our guidance counselors at the high school level to make sure that they have the resources that they need to accurately consult students on where they need to go and what they need to do beyond high school. So I see this more as a support coaching type role than a supervisor type role.
Okay. I guess the reason I say that is I have had input from parents and students that they feel like there are some deficiencies with our counselors now. And I guess I'm hesitant to want to add another role that I don't see. I guess my hesitancy is that I would want to see some guarantees that there's going to be some real improvements here before we go adding another person or adding another position to kind of address some of those issues.
Well, right now our counselors are doing the best with what they've got with the limited to no information that they have. Their only source of information at this point is their current school principal or another counselor if they have a relationship. There has been one counselor that's tried to step up to try to rally the group together, but even that person admitted to me, I only have so much time in the week or in the month because I have to worry about my own school too. So right now what we have is nobody that's helping lead an entire group of people for the entire district. So this person would be in charge of collaboration, making sure that everybody's on the same page, getting people the resources they need, and basically advocating for the counselors moving forward in Murray County Public Schools.
I'll be honest, that's a little concerning to me. When the counselors are saying they can't do their jobs now. I mean, because that's kind of what it sounds like, that they're unable to do it, or they don't have time, or is that what?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is for them to work together is difficult because there's nobody assisting them or helping them or leading them. They're doing the best they can with what they've got, but at the elementary school, we have no set counseling curriculum. So counselors are pretty much pulling together with whatever they have that they think is best, or that their principal works with them on that they think is best. But they have nobody really maintaining research, following the best trends, alerting them to conferences that are coming up. There's nobody that's advocating for them. Without a doubt, I would say the counselors that I met are doing a phenomenal job considering the situation that they're in. For example, I would equate this to running a district without having a superintendent. They're doing the best they can with what they got.
Thank you.
Mr. Lindsay?
Dr. Marzak, have you, in your past experiences, have you worked with someone similar in a position similar as this?
Yes.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
Well, this person basically took on the role that I've been talking about. So it's somebody that advocates for and works with the counselors to make sure that they have what they need moving forward. They work on curriculum, they work on curricular changes, they work on making sure that counselors have what they need in order to be successful in our school. Right now, what we have is a group of independent contractors around the district. They're doing the best they can with what they've got. And so these people serve in that role to make sure that all of the counselors have what they need moving forward.
Ms. Parker?
I was just going to say, I've spoken to some counselors who've indicated that this was an issue for them. And for example, on professional development days, they don't know where to go. They might go to sit through a workshop on reading or math, and they don't teach reading or math. But they're not going and sitting down with all of their fellow counselors and talking about the things that they need to be talking about with students. Another concern I have, especially like you're saying, when you have students that are going through a divorce with their divorcing parents, or going through grief counseling and have lost a grandparent, and you know, these guidance counselors, they have classes, and I've asked them, how do you pull these kids out to talk to them one-on-one? And they're like, it's hard because you don't take them out during lunch, you don't pull them off of recess. When they have an opening, you may be teaching a class. So we really need, I think, somebody that can figure out how to make this work so that we're really serving our students. And I would hope that this position could be funded to make it to where we could have somebody that could make our counselors better. Not that they're not doing a great job. I think they are doing a great job, but they need resources and they need somebody to advocate for them. Some of the counselors I've talked to said that they haven't been to a conference in several years. There was never money for it. And I said, well, have y'all asked for it? And they said, well, there's nobody at central office necessarily that was the person that they reported to. You know, they didn't know who to go to ask for, can I go to this conference? So I would fully support this position.
Mr. Pennings?
Well, what I'm seeing with the counselors now, I mean, they do a good job with, like Dr. Marzak says, what they have. I mean, it's like a puzzle just laying on the table. All the pieces are scattered around. And from what I'm hearing, what you want is somebody to put the puzzle together and make it work. And I'm in favor of that because our counseling is behind the times, to be honest with you.
And the question I would have is, what are we going to do about the fact that we probably need many more counselors in our district as well? You know, what are we going to do as far as funding that? And is this something that we should do to go out and look for new people before, if it's approved, before we run through the lean frog to see where we're at in the district, and you know, if there are things that need to be shifted or you know, on that order?
Well, I see this position as the one that advocates for those additional counselors as they start to weigh out the mental the mental health concerns or the mental health stability in our district, this would be one of those people that would advocate for. So as I've kind of talked before about the budget process, moving forward aligned to the keys, at the end of the last key is a budget line that's going to be called all keys. What is a position that would basically, or a position or resources that would influence all the keys? If, for an example, this was not approved tonight, you would see that moving forward in the budget process in March, because I do see this as a critical piece. But if this person gets in, starts to establish relationships, starts to talk, starts to have discussions, notice that we do not have the resources that we need to tackle and combat and be on top of the mental health concerns of our district, then in that last bullet, that's where they would advocate for those types of things that impact all the keys. If a student is not getting the mental health that they need, resources they need, they're not going to be able to read. They're not going to be able to do math. They're definitely not going to be career and college ready. So this is one of those positions and those types of positions that I believe influences all of the keys. Because if the mental health of a child is not in place, then academics really don't matter.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Ms. Powers?
I just want to weigh in support of this. I do think there are a lot of counselors out there doing a really, really good job. I've also seen a situation where a counselor was doing a really, really bad job, and I don't think there was anything in place to make that situation better. It took a long, long time. The person is gone now, but it took a lot longer to take place than it should have. So again, I just do really want to verbalize my support of this. I don't think we're doing as well as we can do, and I think this is a huge step in putting that in place. Additionally, mental health, I feel like, is very underserved in our nation as a whole. So I think that's quite progressive, that we're going to start putting some advocacy towards this. And I know that our system is starting to look at things like telemedicine and things like that. So I feel like these are all pieces of the puzzle to make us our system as well as possible. So I'm hugely in support.
Any more discussion? All right, seeing none, we're ready to vote. Okay, that motion passes 9-0. I believe there's another motion coming along. Mr. Lindsay?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we allow Dr. Marzak to add the position of district-wide athletic director.
Okay, we have a motion to add a district-wide athletic director. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Pennings. Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Dr. Marzak, can you expand on this one a little bit? What do you see this position doing?
I see this position as kind of like when we were talking about the last one. I see this position as a person that unifies our entire district with concerns to athletics. All of our district-wide athletic directors, the school-based ones talking to one another, making sure that our schedules are in alignment. I couldn't tell you right now whether or not all of our concussion forms are in by law. So this person would also be in charge of that, making sure that our concussion forms are in, making sure that our books are squared and where they need to be from a district-wide perspective. I would see this person taking over athletic field operations and maintenance and working with Stan Breeden. I see this person as replacing their salary every year with sponsorships, with donations and in-kind donations for athletics. Right now, our schools, individual schools, are responsible for taking care of athletics and the fields. I would like to see the district-wide athletic director work in collaboration to take care of the fields and our facilities. I would charge this person with making sure that our facilities are world-class in Murray County Public Schools. For a lot of our surrounding areas, the only chance they get to see our district is for athletics. And I want to make sure that when they walk in the door, they walk out thinking, wow, that place is awesome. Did you see those stands? Did you see that concession area? Did you see how clean the bathrooms were? That's a person that I want to oversee that. I want world-class facilities for our students in Murray County Public Schools. And this is a position that I would task with making that happen. I'd also like to see a jamboree, like I said before, in basketball, football, and baseball. I want a county trophy. I want to start that tradition.
Mr. Pennings?
Well, I see this as the position, too, that can go to the county and go to the city. For instance, Withorn Middle School, just for football and soccer and all of that this last year, so far has paid over $3,000 to the county and the city for using athletic fields, for using the football field and for using Ridley Park. The students who use those facilities on a team, their parents have already paid taxes to pay for that place. So this athletic director could go and say, hey guys, let's try to do something.
Again, like the last position, I don't see this as a cubicle job. This person's out and about all day long, working, advocating, and collaborating and coordinating athletics district-wide for Murray County Public Schools.
Further discussion? Ms. Martin?
I was going to say, I'm excited. I think that those two things, we've got to look at our whole educating every child for life and all slices of the pie. And I think it actually gives, I went to the big schools. I went to Central, I went to Withorn, but I think it gives those other schools opportunities to shine too if they've got somebody that's really working for all of them to be, represented or well, thought of too. So I'm excited. I think it's really tapping into some, and as Carrie said, pieces that maybe we hadn't thought about before that are really going to be progressive as we are on the move right now. I think it's awesome.
Mr. Lindsay?
Just to kind of add with what Ms. Martin said, if we look back, we as a county have, I understand that our job as a school system is to educate kids, but there's a lot more to education than sitting in a classroom at times, and it's easy for us to forget about that, and because those, we don't, our state report card doesn't have a slot on there for baseball or football, but it all plays into it, and for too long we've thrown athletics out there and said jump in the water and learn how to swim, and we as a county, we as a board haven't really helped them any. I mean, if we look at Mr. Pennings brought up Withorn football. If Withorn's football team needs a new set of shoulder pads, then it's up to Withorn football and their parents to come up with those dollars to do that. And and I understand we can't do everything, but I think that we need to move in that direction. That we begin to help these teams out a little bit, and I think this is the first step in it. That there will be somebody in place to advocate for the county as a whole, rather than picking and choosing here and there. I think this is just a step in a right direction. And if we look at other districts, bigger districts, this is something that they've already been doing. So I think it's just us looking to the future and kind of, as Ms. Martin said, just being forward-thinking in this process.
Director?
So you guys are exactly right. Educating children is our responsibility. Academics are important. But there's two main things that really reinforces to children that this is a good school and I love being here. One is clubs and the other is athletics. If you don't think that's true, walk around a high school when they're having a winning football season. Everything is awesome. Attendance is up, discipline is down, school spirit and pride is high. And when you go in the elementary and middle school, when you start to offer clubs after school for kids, and they have a place to come after school to interact with other kids around things that are in their interest, like a Pokemon club or a Ninjago club or an anime club, and kids are a part of that, their school is a great place to be, and it's somewhere they want to be.
Ms. Parker?
I know with athletics, sometimes there's a concern about where we're choosing to spend our money, but I think that this position actually can allow us to be an even better steward of taxpayer money. If we have somebody that is overseeing the athletic side and taking that responsibility that in large part falls on the principals, I think right now, who they've got their own things that they need to be worrying about, whether it's test scores or discipline or security at the facility, to have to worry about, whether or not the field is mowed, which I think we provide a stipend for. And there are times when people may be receiving a stipend and I don't know that it's up to par, and they could check on that, I would imagine. But like Dr. Marzak said, we want our facilities to look good when people drive by, whether or not they're coming there for a tournament or for a practice or whatever. We want to put our best foot forward, and I think also this person could help bring the community together. I mean, there are a lot of groups that are out there, and if you own a business, you know that you get hit up for sponsorship after sponsorship after sponsorship. And if we had somebody in place that could kind of help steer people in the right directions or say, nope, they've been hit up enough, I think that could really help us in the community as well, because there are limited resources, but if we can direct those resources where they need to be, hopefully this person could do that.
And I'd just like to say that I like a lot of the examples and things that have been given tonight, and I like the fact that there's an expectation that this position will pay for itself, if you will. But this is another position that I think we're jumping the gun a little bit on this, because I would like to see us go through and do our evaluation of personnel and take a look at things. And like Mr. Marzak said, again, we heard that clubs and athletics are two great things, and yet you can't ever get the board to say, well, let's go through here and let's give some coaching supplements to people that stay after school and help with plays and help with clubs and things like that. So I need to see those two work hand in hand here. For me to say, yes, I'm going to support one, I need to see the other supported as well. And, it's just a personal opinion that I think that the main emphasis needs to be on academics, and athletics needs to be secondary, and my vote will reflect that way. And just so that I want you to know over here on my right, I'm not trying to ignore you, but the control board's over here, so I'm trying to keep track of names. So, Ms. Powers, next.
I just think there are a lot of kids that are going to do well in school because they want to participate in sports. And I also think sports bring about scholarship opportunities where kids can further their education. And I think we should have a well-run athletics program to serve these kids. And I think there are a lot of them now. I think there could be a lot more with more opportunities. I do think there are problems in athletics in our county right now, and I do not think there's any protocol to fix them. And I would like to see this done well. I think there are a lot of opportunities that are good for kids through this.
Thank you. Mr. Pennings.
Well, I agree with you, Mr. Lasser, that academics have to come first. But if you've got a student that is on the borderline of being passing grade or whatever, and he really enjoys a sport, and he's on the team, and he knows if he doesn't keep his grades up, he or she will not be on the team, that improves academics. And I see this athletic director, as far as Mr. Lindsay with the coaching, and that goes in the stipends that you said, this athletic director would be his job or her job to look into that and decide what is good, what is bad, and get everything together. And can you imagine the people at a football game if Columbia Central played Spring Hill High School for the county championship, or Mount Pleasant played Withorn for the elementary and middle school? That'd be something to see.
Thank you. Mr. Beaver.
Thank you, Mr. Lassiter. You know, I agree with, that this is very important. And you know, I see, there's a need for it. But like Mr. Lassiter said, I also see that there's a need for, you know, the performing arts that spends a lot of time on their own, spends a lot of their own money, you know, putting on plays, musicals, things of that nature. And you know, I'd like to see that being addressed, you know, in the near future. But I think this is a very good, I guess, approach. Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
Just a request, and by the way, some great points. I really appreciate some of this. I do have a request from Dr. Marzak that as we move through this, if this one were to pass as the other one has, is if we could definitely have some more discussions about exactly what these positions are doing, and some follow-up as we go through this, and what they're attacking, and what maybe some successes as we get to some successes. Really, I don't want to just kind of let it go at this, and a year from now, we're all wondering what these positions are doing. I would just hope that we get some good follow-up and some good feedback on how they work.
I'd be happy to. Not a problem.
Any other discussion? All right, looks like we're ready to vote. And we have a motion to allow Dr. Marzak to add a position of district-wide athletics director. All right, that passed. And we are going to go back to page 1 of the agenda, Roman numeral 4, and Murray County Education Association.
Just a brief word. I'm David Hubner. I've met all of you, but you may wonder why I'm up here. The last board of directors meeting for the MCA, Mark Orman carries a huge load at our school. I've seen that, does a lot of things. And the board voted for us to basically switch positions, that he would be now the vice president, I would be president almost for the next 2 years. So that's why I'm here. But he may be here on occasion with me, and especially when I can't be here. So anyways, thank you. And good evening to you guys. Just a few things. It's no secret that we've been doing a lot of testing, actually for our school, and I'm sure others since the fall break, and most days actually. And there has been some teachers that have shown to me that there's been some morale loss. Teachers have talked about losing precious instructional time, and administrators have lost valuable time administering these and trying to arrange the schedules. They would rather be assisting teachers and students in more critical areas, but there's so much standardized testing. I've also had teachers come to me and ask about losing numerous planning periods on a weekly basis. Administrators are doing the best job, but they then have time they have to use at home or on weekends to come up and finish their work. This is not the fault of our administrators, certainly not the fault of our school board. I want to commend you guys for supporting us in this, but we know where the problem lies. So I think what MCA members are saying, we want to convey to you in any way that you are in contact, and this is probably more what Dr. Marzak does, to convey to the state and Dr. McQueen that there's far too much testing and too little time for academic instruction. In spite of that, our Murray County teachers have been, I think they've been really good soldiers. They cooperate, they show a lot of loyalty to our communities, our students and schools, and I think they've done their job well. And it's not just that we're tired because we're looking for the Christmas break, but it is a stressful time when you're managing and moving around and not being able to give as much instructional time. And so whatever negotiations happen over the next few years, I think you guys would support us in that. That being said, MCA and teachers express our thanks to you, our school board, for the support and encouragement you give teachers. I know that's happening because I hear stories all the time from teachers who say, I contacted a board member, and they hear from you, they talk to you, they like that you respond to them. They're very happy about that. And so thanks for listening to their concerns. And I'd also like to thank you for your service. My wife asked me years ago why I didn't run for office, and I said, I don't like long meetings. And I often went to the city council meetings in Spring Hill, and sometimes they last till 11 or 12. I mean, it's like, okay. So that all being said, we thank you for your service that you give each year and for being here and all the other meetings you put forward. We appreciate it. And MCA and our members just want to thank you and hope that you each have a blessed Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Roman numeral 10, under A, instruction, we have an FYI about the consulting physician service. Is anyone speaking on that tonight?
Good evening. You all should have the MOU that was signed with Dr. Ball. We just wanted to bring that to your attention. We do, by state requirements, have to have a consulting physician, whether that's to review protocols, to help us develop new protocols as new things come up in our schools. And Dr. Ball has very graciously agreed to do this at no charge to our school system with approval from the hospital. And so if you see Dr. Ball, give him a big thank you because he's doing this at no cost for our school system. And again, it is a requirement.
Thank you, and thank you to Mr. Ball for stepping up and doing that for us. All right, so we have moved the agenda around a little bit, and I see Mr. Breeden preparing. We're going to go to low bids and purchases over $10,000. So according to our agenda, up first is bid 16041, Skyward Financial Management Systems.
Thank you, Mr. Laster. I assume by that you all would like to take these one at a time. Is that correct? Or go through all of them? How would you all prefer to do that?
I see head shaking, so do one at a time.
Yeah, the first one is bid 16-041 for the purchase of the Skyward Financial Management System. Skyward software that we would be getting would provide all the software we need for financial and accounting software. Currently, this would be actually, transitioning from the current financial software we use, which, quite frankly, is quite dated. Now, the company that we're using has been going through a process of giving us an option to upgrade that. But after looking at it, if we're going to have to upgrade and change to a different kind of software with them, we felt like it was better to go find a more suitable software. Currently, we do not have an human resource software, human resource package, and so this would merge the financial and the human resource software into one. This is a product that is probably the top financial and human resource software in the state, that maybe farther, but I know of all the districts we've talked to in the state of Tennessee, this is the most popular one as far as school districts using. Very verbose, very capable of meeting our needs. And the annual cost for this would be very much in line with what we are currently spending. We're currently spending around $94,000 a year for the annual renewal cost at our current software. I think that's about $94,000, $95,000. The annual cost is $97,309. But what there would be is there would be an upfront cost to make the transition. This would be to do all of the, to move from the software we've got now, move into the new software to set everything up. They would do all the setup, the training, and all of that as part of that. That's $144,931. That's what we would be asking for from you this evening. Dr. Perkins does have a budget amendment that would recommend taking that money from fund balance. I will tell you this, one bit of good news is we actually would begin installing the new software in January with the goal to go live July 1st. And originally, they wanted to also prorate 6 months of cost for the annual fee while we were starting to set up the software, and we were able to negotiate for them not to charge us for the use of the software until we actually would go live on July 1st. So we would not be paying the annual use of software fee until that point, but we would have to pay the setup fee in order to begin that process right away.
Dr. Marzak?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up a little bit with Stan Breeden. I mean, I couldn't recommend this more, or couldn't recommend this enough. We use Skyward software in Oak Ridge, and I was pleased when I came here to find out that this process had begun even before I was hired. Skyward handles everything. You can approve everything from your smartphone. You don't even have to be, there's no more paper and pencil transferring. We literally transfer things by hand now on a sheet of paper in certain departments in certain areas. Everything would go onto here. We'd have instant snapshots of where our current spending is. We'd have instant snapshots of who's in the office and who's out of the office, who has applied for leave. All of our pay stubs would be on our phones. It is, when Mr. Breeden says it is a very robust system, I think that's almost an understatement. It is a powerhouse, and I would be fully, I'll beg you to approve it because it's awesome. That's all I got to say.
And I'll just ask quickly, then we'll go to Mr. Lindsay. Did you want to vote on these separate, or did you? Okay, Mr. Lindsay.
I'll just add, I actually called Ms. Hargrove yesterday and asked some questions, and I think from some past conversations with her, and anybody out there can correct me when I say this wrong, but our financial software and our human resource software didn't communicate with each other. And I'm putting this in Wayne Lindsay terms, which are real simple. But so when we had a new hire, we had to enter them in multiple systems. We had to find a way to get them paid, and then in human resource and benefits, and it just really, this just puts us in the 21st century. To keep it simple, we were kind of in the dark ages, and actually, when I called Ms. Hargrove yesterday, the first question I asked, she answered. This also includes electronic clock system for hourly employees, so we can throw the pencils and papers away for filling out timesheets. So I just think it's another move in the right direction.
And I'll just add to that is something that we're having to do because of the Affordable Care Act as well, to make sure that we're doing electronic timekeeping. And so that is one of the reasons we are pursuing this as well.
Mr. Dudley?
Thank you, Mr. Laster. Just, of course, the pricing is pretty good chunk. I mean, we're taking on $436,000 worth of commitment. Just my concern with any software company is that in 3 years that they don't say, we no longer support the programs we sold you 3 years ago. We need another $150,000 to sell you our new design. How confident do we feel that stuff like that is not going to happen?
The way I would answer that is, you obviously run the risk. Software is changing, technology is changing, software is changing. That's one of the struggles we have. And I'll just speak personally. I was kind of appalled when I started working with Murray County Schools with the financial software we use. It looks like what I used back in the 90s. It's DOS-based software. You still use function keys. It has a graphical user interface that's been written for it so that you it looks like you can use a mouse with it, but that's about it. I mean, I've been doing this stuff for 30 years, working with computers in a business environment, and this is pretty old-looking stuff. Now, they've continued to support it, but it's probably doesn't have any of the functionality of stuff that most people have been using for 15 years. And so we're kind of making the leap into the next century. really, by moving to software like this. What I would say about the confidence in this company is this is the company that most of the districts, I would say majority of the districts in the state are using, especially districts our size and larger. And, you know, as we're continuing to grow, I would think that would be what we would be wanting to move toward.
Okay. And so that sort of answered another question. The State Department of Education has approved this company and these programs to meet our financial accounting needs. And-
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Director?
I just want to just really just talk to you a little bit, Mr. Dudley. Skyward, when they have upgrades and when they move to the next, you automatically move too. And Mr. Breeden, correct me if I'm wrong, the startup costs are because we want to be up and running by July 1st. We tried to get this rolling back earlier in the fall. You know, in finance, we had a couple issues with personnel, and we weren't able to get it off the ground as quickly. But Dr. Berkins has come in, and she's looked at it, she's seen it, and even in the short time that she's been in Murray County Schools, she said this is somewhere we need to go. And so we really can't, if we don't have it in place by July 1, it's going to be July 1 of next year before we have it in place. So we need to get it up and rolling. We need to rock and roll.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Marzak. I just, you know, this board has been burnt so many times with purchasing programs and software, and so I'm just a little hesitant. And so we're putting a lot of faith in what you're advising us.
That's why you hired me.
Mr. Lindsay?
It's just a question about the funding source. So this would be in addition to the $800,000 that we've already asked the county commission to pull out of fund balance. So that this will have to go before the county commission.
Yes, sir, it would. And we've actually explained to this company that we would not be able to pay for this until the county commission has approved the transfer from fund balance that we would be requesting to them based on your recommendation. I guess you would be we'd carry it to them from you. But and they've talked about that we could go ahead and get the ball rolling in January with the idea that we would do that. They would invoice us with payment due in 30 days and those kind of things to give us an opportunity to move in that direction. But yeah, we would be doing that.
And I'll just add that from the county standpoint, the county's moving this direction also. Just in the last few months, the county's on the same path. So the county commission fully understands where we need to be going. So I would not expect a lot of difficulty with that. So,
Mr. Pennings?
To me, this is just another case of this school board and this school system moving forward. That's why we hired Mr. Breeden in the first place, to move us forward. That's why we hired Dr. Marsack to move us forward. And sometimes if you're going to move forward, you have to spend some money to move forward. And I remember Mr. Amanda telling me it took an hour and a half to log a new employee into the system. So now if she can cut that down to a half an hour, now she's got another hour to spend on business that she needs to be spending it on.
Any further discussion? All right, so we want to vote then, and do we have a motion for that? Do we have a second? Give them a second to type that up. Okay, so we've got bid 16041 for Skyward Management System, $97,309 annual cost and $144,931 startup cost. And this will come from transferring funds from fund balance. Mr. Dudley?
Thank you, Ms. Lassiter. Now, the amount we're having to get from fund balance, is it just the startup cost and then the annual cost will be budgeted in the coming years?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
So $145,000 from fund balance.
Yes, sir.
Stand corrected. Thank you. All right, that motion passes 9-0. Next, we have bid 16042, replacement of intercom system at Marvin Wright Elementary School.
This replacement would come from our low bidder System Integrations. The cost is $11,270.87. We're actually doing this bid through a cooperative purchasing agreement with Bedford County Schools, and the funds would come from Fund 141 technology funds. Do you want to do all the rest of these separate as well? Or do you want me to go through and do them together?
Separate? Okay, separate. Any discussion? We have a motion to approve. We have a second by Mr. Moore.
I think.
Jerry.
Wait, you have.
Sorry.
Thank you
my
again,
fault.
Ms. Laster. Ms. Braden, did we have a failure of this system or?
Yes, sir, we did. We did have a failure of the system. Unfortunately, when this is something we're trying to move away from in our construction, but when the school was built, the system that was put in here is what's called a proprietary system. There's only one service provider for this in Middle Tennessee. Upon calling them, they came to service this. They looked at the system and said, we're not sure what it'll take to fix it. We can send it off, and not sure how long it'll take us to get it back. Once we get something back from manufacturer, we'll be able to tell you how much it costs. Oh, by the way, you owe us $500 for coming out and making a service call. And intercom system is an integral part of school safety, and so it's something that we can't do without. And we felt like instead of maybe waiting and find out a month from now that the system's broken, it's going to have to be replaced, we'd be better off to go ahead and replace the system with one that is not a proprietary system that we can get serviced.
Okay. That's good to hear, because that was my suggestion, that maybe we had problems in specking out our new buildings if these systems last so little of time. I mean, this school's only 9 years old.
Yes, sir.
And I have concerns about an intercom system not lasting any longer than that.
Unfortunately, we went through a little period of time when this was done. There's 2 or 3 schools in a row where we built or did renovations, and this company put in the fire alarm and security alarm and the intercom system, and we've run into this. It's very frustrating to deal with them, but again, that was before my time. I'm not sure how they were chosen, but we're trying to move away from that equipment.
Any more discussion? Okay, now we're ready. Can a record reflect, please, that Ms. Martin voted yes to that? All right, bid 16043, Lean Frog.
Yes, sir, Lean Frog Business Solutions. Lean Frog Business Solutions is being recommended at a cost of $61,716.73 to do consultation services for school management systems, do an efficiency and organizational review. These funds are available in Fund 141 Fiscal Services, and Lean Frog was chosen from a sole source letter.
Mr. Dudley?
Thank you, Mr. Lester. I just got a question, maybe Dr. Marzak can answer it. It's the first time I've had a sole source letter for consulting work. I mean, are there not other firms that offer consulting on this?
So what we were able to do is we were able to piggyback on another state contract as far as the work that they do. Leanfrog has 4 services that they're providing for us. One, they're going to analyze our IT and wireless backbone infrastructure to make sure that we're ready to move one-to-one. 2, they're going to work with us on our digital vision moving forward to make sure that we all understand what's going to happen when technology is integrated into our system, where every single student and every single teacher has a district-sponsored device. 3, they're currently analyzing our human resource and finance operations to make sure that we have the right people in the right place doing the right job and the right function. And 4th, they're going to analyze the curricular side of the house to make sure that we have the right people in the right place doing the right job and the right function. Leanfrog works with large and small systems. They've worked across the state of Tennessee. They're currently working with Clarksville, Montgomery County right now. They did work with Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge, as you know, launched Access Oak Ridge probably about 3 months ago, where they had their pilots rolling out in middle school. And as a result of work that Leanfrog did with Oak Ridge, they had 0 hiccups with their middle school deployment program. And in fact, about a week ago, the other 1,700 devices came in. And after a conversation with Dr. Borchers, he foresees 0 problems moving forward with both middle schools being saturated with devices for both teachers and students, and he attributes that to the work of Leanfrog.
Okay, well, my only concern about sole sourcing is you don't have anything to compare it to. Basically, those firms get to write and set their own pricing, and we don't have anything to compare it. But once again, I'm taking a leap of faith and going to vote on your recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Dudley. So, do we have a motion on this, or do we have a motion to approve? Okay, motion by Mr. Pennings, second by Mr. Lindsay. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we're ready to vote. Okay, that motion also passed 9-0. Next is bid 16045, and that's Myon Digital Library Services.
Myon Digital Library Services, the lower best bid price, $62,655.22. That's coming from Fund 141, Office of the Principals, and that again is being purchased through a sole source letter.
And I hit the mic before Mr. Dudley did, because I know we've had some conversations about software and feedback about whether or not software taking place is a good return on investment. I do want to let you know that this is K through 12 literacy software, where a 10th grader and a 6th grader could be reading the same book, and it's automatically tailored for their Lexile level. And this is a software piece that will be scorecarded with our Keys to College and Career Readiness. So you, at a moment's notice, when you have access to that software that I give you, you'll be able to see how many kids are reading on grade level in Murray County schools according to the Myon Digital software.
Further discussions, Mr. Pennings.
I have talked to 5 teachers so far about Myon and how they liked it, and I have gotten nothing but positive feedback from the teachers that this system works and they love the system. I'm in favor of it.
Mr. Moore?
Yep. Two things quickly. Unless did I miss this in our packet? Any documentation on this? Because I'm not seeing any. Okay. So while we're all scratching our heads on that one, I can move to my second question. This cost here that's listed, the 62, 655, 22, that is, I'm assuming, first year cost Is there a contract on this? Is this a multi-year thing? Again, since I don't have any documentation.
The contract actually is coming through. TOS has entered into an agreement with Mayan to be a preferred state provider. And so this cost is a discounted cost than if we were to just go to Mayan and buy it from them directly. It would be a lot more expensive. So this is a cost, an annual cost for a district license for all 16,000 kids to have access to over 5,000 books every single day.
Okay. So again, this is something this year we're approving and will be budgeted in.
Yes. Yes, it will
year
be.
after year.
Yes.
Of similar cost. Is it student-based, student count-based?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can tell you, as of today, Spring Hill Elementary School, we've had the program in place for less than a month. Spring Hill Elementary School reported 2 days ago that over 2,000 books have been read in Mayan.
I'm sorry, I was just trying to answer Mr. Moore's question. It looks like it may have been inadvertently left out of the packet, and we apologize for that. We can get you the information. I have it here. We could copy it. We will email it to you.
If you could email it.
Okay, we'll do that.
Any further discussion?
This is kind of anecdotal, but the other night I had to go for a basketball game, and it was an hour drive, so I asked my kids if they wanted to get some movies, and they didn't want movies. They wanted the hotspot so they could get on Mayan, and they both read the whole time. So.
So was that a motion to approve? Well, I don't know if we got the real motion. Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
All right. Ms. Powers, Mr. Pennings, second. Any more discussion? All right, once again, that motion passed 9-0. Now the moment of truth, and we get to go to finance. And after we hear some good numbers, then we get to approve money for the things we just voted on.
Dr. Berkins?
Yes. Like,
Geez, yeah, duh, boneheaded move. Oh, that's okay, not a problem. I was going to save it to the end, but I can do it now. I'm pleased to announce to everybody that Dr. Berkins and I had a conversation yesterday, and she has formally accepted the position as the manager of finance for the Maury County Public School System. So, Dr. Berkins,
thank you.
officially, welcome to the family.
Thank you. It's a great family to be in. If y'all notice in your packet this month was pretty large. What we have done is Chairman Bates asked if we could have more up-to-date information available. So I did my best to get, we already had October's information ready, did my best to get November's information together for you as well, so you can have more up-to-date data than we've been presenting before. So that's why you have so much information. So I'm just going to stick to November for right now. Do you want to hear about, unless you want to hear about? But in November, we had revenues of $8,054,259.88, and our expenses for November were $7,942,459.48. I also saw that on some of the reports before you received the sales tax report, what we get in the sales tax, and you received the fuel charge report, and that you wanted to know what their fuel costs today, and they're $1.71. Our fund balance at this point, at that point in time, is $5.25 million. Now we have 5 budget amendments. The information you wanted to know. The very first one, budget amendment number 4365, is just to revise the Title 1A budget for the consolidation application. It brings it in line with what it needs to be for our Title I budget. Our second budget amendment 4366, is moving money that was in a reserve account for differential pay that will be paid soon. And that was a total of $178,976. Our third budget amendment number 4367, is also to record some reserve money or to move some reserve money that we had for textbooks in the amount of $24,332. Our fourth one is, now we're getting to the meat, is number 4368. This is for Lean Frog. As you'll notice, the budget amendment is for moving $49,000, and we just went through some of our funds to see where we had some extra money that we thought we could use to pay for these services. And you'll notice that it's $49,000 because when I was going through these funds, I found an open purchase order for our old software system that was for $12,000 that I could just close, and there was immediately $12,000 in the budget for this program for us to pay for it. And our last one is Skyward. Our last budget amendment, 4369, is just moving the money from fund balance to pay for Skyward, pay for the startup costs for us to transition to Skyward.
We have any questions, comments?
Yes. Oh.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve budget amendments 4365 through 4369? Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Lindsay. Any more discussion? All right, we are ready to vote. Okay, passes 9-0.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a comment as far as finances go. It's not going to be long. We're going to be getting into the budget process again, and I just think it'd be helpful if we're mindful. If you look in the reports from Dr. Perkins there, that our sales tax numbers are really good compared to what we budgeted for, up almost 10% projection-wise. And I say that with a grain of salt because we hope that continues. But if you remember last year in our budget time, we had, in my opinion, we started out with some very conservative sales tax numbers, and we crept them up a little bit, and that's how we wound up being able to give the 2% raise. And so I just think it's helpful for us to keep that in mind, that that our sales tax is a little bit better than we projected, actually quite a bit better than we projected last year, and that just means that our economy in Murray County is good, and that can just help us move forward and do some more things. But I just wanted to bring that to, as budget time gets closer, of course, Dr. Perkins will dissect these numbers, and we will too, but just have that on everybody's mind that things are looking up. So.
All right, so going down the agenda, thank you, Mr. Lindsay. Going down the agenda, to me, it looks like we are now done with all the hard business. We're on to FYIs, and you all have that listed out. You have your executive committee reports, and that takes us down to announcements and communications. So, with that being said, I'd like to thank Randolph Howell for the pledge and the songs, and yes, Mr. Moore said, and all the artwork. Really good artwork. We also got slighted because I also know that Miss Perko is a very good singer, so we did not get to hear her sing as well, but her and I go back quite a ways, and I can tell you she is a wonderful singer. So thank you to them. Again, thank you for the artwork. I want to say thank you to everybody that came and worked on the float and rode on the float. And poor Mr. White, we ran him to death. He'll be so glad to see us leave and not come back. And I apologize and thank you very much for that, Mr. Perryman. But also, I would like to also thank, there were a lot of people that helped that I never met. You know, there were the two people that helped with the transportation and the bus on the ends I was on that, you know, I'd never met before, and thank you very much to them. And I know that somebody had to drive down to Mount Pleasant, so thank you very much for that. But I think we had a wonderful time, And with that, I'll also say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to those of you that we won't see each other again until next year. And take it over to Mr. Marzak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lassiter. I appreciate it. I'd also like to say thank you, principals, assistant principal, Randolph Howell. Great job. You guys did a good job tonight. Kids did good. It's already been tweeted out. You've already retweeted it, so it's awesome. Thank you. Before it escapes me, I want you to take a look before you guys leave tonight. This is an example of the boards that will be in every single classroom at Central High School. So when you get a chance before you walk by tonight, go ahead and touch it and play around with it. The new interactive screens, they're televisions, so feel free to interact with it. Also want to remind you guys that I guess as of 4:30 today begins a new day in Maury County Public Schools because we officially ended the Keys to College and Career Readiness data collection. It is over with. I'm excited to talk tomorrow to Teresa to find out what our total tally is on how many individual Post-it notes we had at the final call. We will be meeting tomorrow at 2:30 at Central Office to begin the process of disaggregating all of that data to creating our Keys to College and Career Readiness. The Daily Herald will be there, but before we get to a final decision, I'm going to kick him out so that he can't leak what our Keys to College and Career Readiness are. And then I want to let everybody know that we decided today that at 5 o'clock on January the 5th, we will have a public press conference where we will be unveiling the Keys to College and Career Readiness. So that'll be 5 o'clock on January the 5th. Location to be determined. So that will be in the press conference. It will come out where we will be. We're trying to find a place big enough because I imagine a lot of people are going to want to come out and see what the Keys to College and Career Readiness are going to be as a new day emerges in Maury County Public Schools. I want to remind you of scheduled meetings and closing. Tuesday, December 15th, there's a county budget meeting at 4:30. Friday, December the 18th is early dismissal for all schools. Monday, December the 21st through Tuesday, January the 5th, schools will be closed for winter break. Monday, December the 21st, there is a county commission meeting at 6:30. Thursday, December the 24th through Friday, December the 25th, central office will be closed. Thursday, December 31st through Friday, January 1st, central office is also closed. Monday, January 4th is an administrative day. Tuesday, January 5th is a professional development day. And at 5 o'clock, we'll have that public unveiling. And then Wednesday, January 6th, students come back to school. So want to wish you, yay, they're parents for 2 weeks. Want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Okay, board members, Mr. Dudley.
Thank you. I want to congratulate the teachers who received their tenure certificates and pins this evening. Even the ones that were not able to attend, still wish them well, and that's a major accomplishment in their careers. Thank the students from Randolph Howell once again, and then I'd like to thank everybody that attended our facility tours yesterday. I think it was a good success, opportunity for us as board members to meet with county officials and city leaders and to tour our facilities and show them that we have a lot of good things going on.
Mr. Lindsay.
I just want to echo a couple things. You said you and Miss Perko went back a long ways. Miss Perko, and I say this because she should be very proud of it. She was my kindergarten teacher. No one would have ever guessed that, but I just wanted to pass that along. So she and I go way back too. But I also want to congratulate the tenure teachers and say Merry Christmas to everyone. And nobody said it tonight, but today is Miss Power's birthday. And she's here, so I think we should sing happy birthday to her tonight.
Happy birthday. That'll be a perfect segue for your comments.
I didn't have anything to say until now. Thank y'all for that, and I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas.
Mr. Beaver?
Okay, I'd like to just ask for all of your prayers for the Edmondson family And that, I'm sure all of you have heard about the tragedy that happened this Monday in Culleoka, where a 9-year-old girl was killed in a car accident. She was in the 4th grade, and she has a little sister, which is in the 2nd grade, and she's in Vanderbilt Hospital now with some serious injuries. And I'd like to I appreciate all the guidance counselors that came to Culleoka and helped Ms. Love and her staff. And I'd like to recognize Ms. Love because she did an excellent job during this very difficult time. And I just wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Mr. Moore?
Thank you. I actually have a couple of different things. I'll start with the quick one. The tour that we did of the facilities tour, I thought was just an excellent opportunity. I know the feedback I got from both some of the city representatives and the county commissioners and the mayors, and this obviously was a historic event, and the feedback was so positive that they were able to see what you guys do on a daily basis and see what goes on in these schools, what's actually happening, and kind of take some of these things out of just talking points that some of them may had and actually see what goes on. And I think it was a great opportunity. I really hope we continue that. As far as the float, I can't say enough for Mr. Lassiter for kind of helping get that together, and Carrie as well. I had a ball helping with that. I definitely hope we continue that. Spent way too many hours at Central High School, and I probably set the alarm off a few times incorrectly. But I had a ball doing it, and I think it was a great opportunity to really just work shoulder to shoulder with people, with other board members, and some children helping, and the director as well. I just can't say enough how much of a good time I had on that. I know we've got here also a blood drive that's going on tomorrow. If anybody can help donate to that, that would be great. It's at West 8th Street, the Bloodmobile, so I guess look for the big Bloodmobile van or bus. And then also, Dr. Perkins, welcome, and I like it when anybody can find money. So this is a great way to get started as far as I'm concerned. So any more of that you find laying around would be awesome. So keep bringing that to us. So again, thank you very, very much, everyone, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Mr. Pennings.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight, and thank you for bringing your wonderful students, and Ms. Powers and Mr. Lassiter for getting that float on the way. I went to the one in Mount Pleasant, and it was jammed, and I've never seen so many people downtown Columbia for a Christmas parade, and it was just a joy and fun to participate in. It truly was. And I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Ms. Martin?
I just want to say that I appreciate everybody that the principals that approached me and gave me some, we wish we had seen you at the tours. I teach in Nashville, and I cannot always get down here when stuff is in the morning. So I appreciate the invitation that was extended to me that I can come and visit them privately after we dismiss from class. So thank you so much for that extension of invitation. And the float, we've gotten so many awesome responses from the community. Anytime that we can come together and you guys did your thing, you just did your thing. Everybody is really, really excited about something where we can display the fact that we're proud to be a part of something, and the community can show that support too. So I feel like we've got a lot of investment and moving in the right direction. That physically and visually shows what a year this has been. I tell you, I don't know if all of us were really prepared for what we signed up for, but this year, we have seen a lot of each other, and we have done a lot of things that may not have been easy. It's been some interesting topics, some interesting nights, and I just appreciate being on the panel with some people that were able to say we're just going to hang in there through some difficult times. And y'all probably hadn't done this much stuff in 1 year that have been difficult like this. Tell me this is the biggest difficultness.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes. But thank you all. It's been a great year. It's been a great ride, and I hope that everybody has an awesome Christmas break. You deserve it because you've given a lot to the kids over this year. So hope you have some good time to spend with your family and friends and really celebrate the reason for the season. Have a good, happy New Year as well. Thank you.
Ms. Parker?
I will keep this brief because I know we all want to leave and I need to leave too. But it's great to be back with y'all. I wanted to say it was great seeing everybody in the parade. I didn't get to sit on the parade, but we waved as with my boys as y'all went by, and it looked wonderful. I know that took a lot of hard work, and I just appreciate all the board members that contributed to that, because it really is awesome to have that visual in our community and have people talking about it. And yesterday was awesome getting to go around the schools. I know that we were looking at it maybe from a facilities standpoint, but Mr. McNeese and Mr. Holmes, just the innovativeness that's going on in our schools with the teaching. And I know at McDowell they have a bookworm going around, and I was looking and going, oh, they're reading this book and this book and this book, and it was really neat. And then Mr. Holmes, they had writing on every wall. I mean, it was just covered in artwork and in writing, and it was wonderful to see. So I know we were there to kind of look at the facilities, but it was great to see just the teaching and the learning that goes on every day in our schools. So hope y'all finish strong for the next, next week, and have a very Merry Christmas. And thanks for the opportunity to come and visit your schools and see just the amazing things that are going on.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shirley? Did we get the clipboard down here for the meeting as well? All right. Do we have any other comments? Remember, Mule Day is coming, so it's float time. All right. Motion to adjourn. Motion made. Have a second? All right. All in favor? Thank you very much.